Hello everyone, this is Kate from Exploding Orchids. I thought I'd just come make a video today about the Phalaenopsis Schilleriana. Now I actually purchased this online on eBay, basically because for some reason in the UK it's actually really hard to find orchid nurseries. Now there are some in the UK, but they are quite a long way away, and if you don't know anything about the UK, getting around is actually harder than you might think. It's a small island, but the trains are really expensive, and unless you have a car, you really can't just go for a day trip, across the country to just get some plants, basically. So yeah, I got this on eBay. I'll probably do a video at some point about where I get my orchids online. This one's actually from eBay. I'll show you the tag. So Phalaenopsis Schilleriana. And then if you're wondering, this is the shop that I get it from on eBay. But yeah, like I said, I'll do a more in-depth video about all the orchids that I got online and my experience with that. But yeah, this is the Schilleriana. So when I got it, it didn't have these flower spikes, and I'm pretty sure I only got this maybe 4 months ago, something like that. So these actually grow super quickly, and I'm really impressed with that. You know, when you buy plants online, you never really know what condition you're going to get them in, and although I really do like this shop is really good. This was probably one of the first ones I purchased from them, and yeah, you never really know. You could get something with no roots, barely any leaves. It's just a gamble, really, especially if you've never bought from them before. But yeah, this one was in really good condition. It didn't have too many roots, so I've put it in this bigger pot because I've heard that they do like the moisture, and I have found this to be true. When I got it, these leaves were already quite droopy, and I'm pretty sure it's because maybe in the past they were a little bit dehydrated, and they really didn't like it, and they don't really bounce back once they go a bit floppy. But now you can see it does bounce back. It's definitely in good shape now, but there have been times where I've underwatered it and and it hasn't turned out too great. It's gone a bit, it's had a bit of a tantrum, basically. But yeah, I'm really happy with the quality, and I hope it's growing roots. So basically, you see this root just here, so that one was a lot shorter when I got it, so it was probably up to about here, and you can see it's grown into the soil, or into the substrate anyway, and it's probably gone a little bit deeper. I'm not sure how much deeper, but with the speed that this thing has grown, I'm not surprised if it's if it's gone quite far into the pot. I just love the leaves on this orchid. Absolutely stunning. Like, I'm giving this a lot of light. I'm not sure if it's too much light, but I usually try and give as much light as possible, and then if I show any, if I see any signs of stress, or the leaves are burning or anything like that, then I'll tone it down. I know that's a bit of a strange way of doing it, but obviously me living in the UK, I kind of assume that we don't get enough sunlight here and I just blast them with sunlight, basically, and it seems to be working. The leaves, you can see they're really nice and dark, are really shiny as well, really healthy looking. So I don't think I'm overdoing it just yet. And obviously with the speed that it's grown, you can't really say that it's not working, you know. Also this leaf here, it was quite small when I got it, so it's about half the size, and it has grown a little bit. Now usually these plants, they don't necessarily grow spikes and spikes and leaves at the same time, but this one definitely has done well if it's doing both at the same time, and root growth obviously, so root growth, leaf growth and flower growth at the same time. Now I'll talk a little bit about the substrate. I'll do like a more in-depth video about this later on, but I'll tell you about why I have it in this kind of a substrate. So this is actually a mix of kind of layers. I put them in layers basically, so you can see at the bottom that there is pumice at the bottom, and then I've put a layer or 2 layers of vermiculite, and then another layer of the pumice at the top. Now I originally had my orchids in bark. This one I potted straight up into this substrate because by this point I'd figured out that the bark just really wasn't working in my environment. So again, as you know, I live in the UK. If you didn't know, in the UK we actually get a lot of humidity. It's obviously not too hot here, and in the winter it can get really, really quite cold, but it's still very humid all year round. It probably stays between 50% and sometimes it can get up to 80% in the UK, which this is kind of indoors, so outdoors it can be even higher. I know that sometimes I look at the weather and it says 80%, 90%, and it's, yeah, quite shocking to think that we have that much humidity here. But yeah, it can cause some problems in most houses. You know, they end up with mold on the walls and stuff like that. But for plants, obviously, it's ideal. They love it, basically. I don't think really Phalaenopsis need this kind of humidity. I think 50% is absolutely fine. And I actually have a dehumidifier in my living room, because if I didn't, I would just have mold all over the walls, honestly. And even the phals in this room do absolutely fine. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about humidity, but basically because it's so humid in here, if I have bark in the pot, and I don't know if it's maybe bad quality bark, I know that when I've purchased bark from the shops before, it's pretty much already breaking down, which again is probably due to the humidity. You can't really get away with keeping, you know, natural ingredients, natural bark and stuff in plastic bags in a very humid country and expect them not to start rotting almost immediately. So yeah, it's probably a mixture of that. The quality of the bark isn't great, the humidity inside wherever they're keeping the bark, and then in my home and in most people's homes here, it's just too humid. The bark just ends up rotting literally within months. And I had an issue actually with some of the other ones where they would just, the bark would start rotting, and obviously the roots at that point hadn't even established themselves in the pots yet, and they're already a bit stressed because I've repotted them. So it's just really not good. It's just really not good because they basically just start to rot themselves. The roots kind of get infected by the rotting material, and they just end up rotting themselves. So that happened with a few of my new phals actually last year, and that was kind of the tipping point where I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to be putting them in something that just won't rot the roots essentially. But I did want to mimic the same kind of moisture levels and stuff. So pumice doesn't necessarily hold any moisture. Like it's you know, it's a porous stone, but it doesn't exactly hold any moisture. It kind of holds it on the surface, but that's about it. But then because of that, because it's very airy and dries out very quickly, that's why I've put the vermiculite in there. Now, honestly, this was a pure guess, so I'm not saying this is a tip for anyone. It's worked for me for the last couple of months, but I haven't used it longer than that, so it's not like I can say, oh, this is the go-to if you have a really humid environment. It just seemed like the perfect kind of fit for me. If I had gone for something like sphagnum moss, I'm pretty sure it would have been the same kind of problem as the bark, essentially. It would have just broken down too quickly. And again, I don't think I can find good quality sphagnum moss in, you know, where I live. I just don't think it's going to be as easy as just going to the plant shop and finding good quality sphagnum moss. It's going to be lower quality. It's going to be more for things like animal bedding and stuff like that. It's just going to rot. So the closest thing that I could think of that was kind of the same properties, you know, a lot of moisture retention, very airy, was the vermiculite. And you can see here, if it focuses, yeah. So it's like basically sheets of minerals as far as I'm aware. Don't hold me to that, but basically they kind of expand it, and it basically turns into this kind of foamy material, and it holds a lot of air, holds a lot of moisture, and also apparently it holds basically minerals that your plant might need. So it can hold things like magnesium and potassium and maybe a little bit of calcium, stuff like that, which is great because obviously if you're using stuff like pumice, it's not going to hold anything really. It's not going to hold much moisture, and it's not going to hold much nutrients and things like that. So I did want something that would hold a little bit. I'm not the best at fertilizing, although recently I've been much better. I tend to fertilize like a half strength every time, but you know, I do forget. So I'd rather have something that just makes sure that some of it stays in there, and the plant can draw from it whenever it needs it, essentially. I'm really excited. It's going to flower soon, I think. These buds are getting bigger and bigger every week, but I'm pretty sure it's going to take another month or so to flower. And I can probably do another video once it is flowering, just describing the smell to you, because these ones are fragrant. Schillerianas are fragrant. And I do have Schilleriana hybrids. The way you can tell if they're a hybrid for the Schilleriana is sometimes the leaves are spotted like this. Not quite as much, definitely not as much. So if you just see a little bit of spotting on the top of the leaf, chances are it has some Schilleriana in its heritage. And then also the red underleaves is a giveaway, but again, not every hybrid has this. So I have smelt those ones before, and they are amazing. Like, this is what pretty much my first orchid was, a Schilleriana hybrid, and the smell of the flowers was absolutely amazing, and that's why I got this. You know, I had no idea when I purchased the first one that it was the Schilleriana hybrid smell, but obviously now that I know that, I've since then I've been hooked on orchids, and I'm so excited for this one, essentially. Right, so if you have any questions, just please put them down in the comments box. Like I said, if I have any updates, if it flowers, I will put another video up. And just let me know if you want any specific videos from me. I'll be posting hopefully at least once a week. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, if you like it, if you like the video, just please give me a like, and also subscribe if you want to see similar videos. I have lots of other orchids, so I'm going to make basically, like I say, a video once a week about all my orchids, giving you updates every now and then. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys. Talk to you later.